Okay. So I've had this for about 12 hours at this point, and it's been 77. It actually has been in the 70s and low 80s even after eating, but I ate creamed spinach, which I substituted curly dock and chives and ramps for um, onions, garlic, and varieties of spinach. So basically, it had three greens. It had no onions, no garlic. It had wild chives, wild ramps, and curly dock instead of spinach. And it had spices. It had lots and lots of cheese, lots and lots of cream cheese, um, heavy cream, and butter, and a little bit of olive oil. And it didn't move my blood sugar. It was still in the 80s. I also didn't feel sleepy, which means, in spite of the protein, it didn't make me, it didn't bring up insulin. Then, about 15 minutes later, I ate two pieces of cheesecake. So, yesterday, I ate creamed curly dock, 9:30 to 10, and the recipe is in my, or the way I cooked it and everything, and pictures are in my in the rest of my videos I uploaded yesterday. Today is 18th of March. It's about 8:30 a.m. and I only ate half of it, and even that was too much. It basically destroyed my teeth. So I stopped eating when my teeth hurt. So then about 10:15 to 10:30, I ate two slices of cheesecake crust, and it's a regular cheesecake from Walmart, and it has sugar, everything. It was excellent. Still not feeling sleepy. Still, you know, my high was around 110 yesterday, about an hour and a half after eating. So basically, I'm trying to pull it up, and after that, I did fall asleep. I guess I dropped into the 60s earlier this morning, and now I'm at 80. So I guess I do have some kind of dawn phenomenon, depending on what and when and what I eat. So I hit 110 at 10:13. This is an hour behind at 11:13. So 45 minutes after I ate, classic glucose peak, which is probably the crust of the cheesecake, because sugar in the cheesecake, the glucose part would probably be less than what was in the crust. So that 45 minutes after finishing eating, I keep seeing that in my both in my scans as well as in other things, that 45 minutes is classic glucose. Fructose peak is 5 to 6 hours from then. Fructose peak was probably about 3 a.m. or something. What was I at around 3 a.m. if I even checked it? At 2:31 I am 80 and 82. And I am at 2:53 I am 67, and 3:12 I am 83. So that's probably some of the fructose coming out of my liver. And then 81 at 3:19, and 72 at 3:39, and 73 at 4:07. And I've been, I dropped to 68. No, I dropped below that. I guess I only dropped to 68. So I dropped to 68 at 5:26, but it started rising. 76 at 5:34, 6:34. Add an hour. This is still in pre-daylight savings time. So basically, in the mid to high 70s and 80s after dropping to 64. So there is some kind of dawn phenomenon probably today at least. So what I ate was protein from the dairy, fiber from the fiber from all the greens that are undercooked. Um, and carbs bound in fiber, very few carbs, but whatever it is bound in fiber. Um, and fat, a whole stick of butter was in it, and that's just one kind of fat. Then I had cream cheese, and I had heavy cream, and I had mozzarella cheese, and I had olive oil in it. So it didn't move my blood sugar, so or bring up my insulin. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to keep track of what this is doing, because the first couple of days with my first sensor, I ended up starting in the 70s and 80s, and it behaved like I thought it should. But the next day, which was a fasting day, where I was doing light labor, and when I was done, I had one drink, and it plummeted, and it almost never got out of the 50s after that. Once in a while, when I would eat and eat a lot of carbs, it would shoot up to 120 or so, but then it promptly dropped back to low, which means this sensor, if it has some kind of chemical exchange, maybe closer to the end of its life. I don't know how old that sensor was, and this is about the same age, expiring 6 2021. If it's some kind of chemical exchange, maybe the chemicals decay while it is in the package, even before you install it. So if you got the fresh new sensor right off the assembly line and put it in your arm, you might get 2 weeks. But if it sat around for 6 months and you put it in your arm, you only get 1 week, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I bought all of these sensors off of Craigslist, and they are not fresh off the assembly line, but they aren't expired. They expire later this year, June, July, and August of this year. So I have to watch out if this sensor does the same thing, because today I'm going to do the same thing I did yesterday, and I'm possibly going to even eat the same, other half of the creamed curly duck, or I call it curly rock, because it turned into a real tight. It wasn't creamy and it wasn't flowing. It turned into a solid, basically. Okay, so it is a solid that you could just dig and take out with your fork. Okay, which was that's how it was when it was warm, and now I have put it in the fridge. So God knows what it's going to be. It's going to be a brick by the time I take it out of the fridge. Okay, and it's in a square container too, so it'll even look like a brick, green brick. So if this sensor starts to drop, read lower and lower and lower progressively for days in a row, while I do the same thing. So I was at 80 when I installed it, all the way to today. I'll call it an average of 80 when I wasn't eating. Today, if the average drops to 70, tomorrow if it's 60, day after tomorrow it's 50, and I keep doing the same thing, then the sensor has got a decay. So it's just losing 10 points a day on average. So that may be not the sensor. This sensor has the decay. So that might be an interesting point to watch out for in regards to using these sensors. If you really want accurate readings, buy one fresh off the assembly line. Don't buy crap on Craigslist. Maybe. We'll see. I got 4 more sensors. 4 more sensors other than this one. So we'll see how it goes. And Abbott is sending me a replacement for the previous one that died in 5.5 days. And they sent me the wrong one. So after I installed it, this didn't read it. So they had to send me the correct 14-day instead of the Libre. So once that was done, so I'm getting a brand new one from Abbott. God knows how old that's going to be. So we'll see how it goes.